Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel where we post daily videos on cutting edge technologies. Google has just dropped Gemma to the family of their models. Gemma is actually a lightweight, state of the art open model from the Google, which is built from the same research and technology used to create the Gemini models. Because of their smaller size as compared to the Gemini models, it makes it possible for them to be deployed in environments with limited resources such as laptops, desktops, or your own cloud infrastructure, enabling access to the state-of-the-art models for everyone with ease. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can install the Gemma 2 model locally on your system, and then we are going to test it out on certain benchmarking questions. Alright, so let's get started. As you can see that right now I am in the official Hugging Face space of the Google, which contains the model card for the Gemma 2 9B model. You can clearly see that it is a gated model and you need to have the access before using the model. Once you scroll down the model card, you will see that it contains different kinds of information about the model along with the usage with different chunks of code for different scenarios. So you can use any of these chunks in order to install it locally. But in this video, I'm going to be using Ollama to install the Gemma 2 9B model locally on my system. So if you don't already have Ollama, simply go to this URL that says https://ollama.com, and then based on your operating system, download the required version of Ollama. Once Ollama is installed, simply click on this models tab right here, and on the very top you will see the Gemma 2, and here it contains both the 9B and the 27B model. I'm gonna go with the 9B one because it is a smaller one and apparently more efficient. And then in order to download the 9 billion parameters, simply copy this command, which is Ollama run Gemma 2 9B, and then I'm gonna open a new terminal window, and then inside the terminal I'm gonna paste the command which I just copied, which is Ollama run Gemma 2 9B. Hit enter and you will see that it will start pulling the manifest, which is around 5.4 GBs. After that, it will start verifying the SHA-256 digest. And once everything is successfully pulled and loaded, you will get a success message showing that the model has been successfully installed and you are all set to write a message. So in order to test it, I'm going to ask it to write a poem about the clouds. Run it and you can see that in real time, it has started creating a poem about the clouds. So in this way, you can download Gemma 2 9 billion model locally on this system and then use it. But in order to test it, I'm going to be running it on the Google AI Studio. So here you can see that I'm inside my Google AI Studio. On the right hand side, you have the run settings, in which the first option is to select the model. So go ahead and select the Gemma 2 from the available models. So firstly, I'm going to test out its knowledge of mathematics and calculations. So for that, firstly, I'm going to ask it that what is the factorial of 5. And it has provided the response to be 120, which is correct. And it was a very basic question, so obviously it is going to give the right answer. Next, I'm going to ask it that a person crosses a 600-meter long street in 5 minutes. What is his speed in kilometers per hour? It has provided us different steps of how to calculate the speed. Firstly, it is converting meters to kilometers. It is converting minutes to hours, and then calculating the speed using this formula, and the answer is 7.2 kilometers per hour, which is correct. Next, I'm gonna give it a little tricky question that what are the last 4 digits of the sum of first 40 prime numbers? And let's see the approach it takes. Alright, so instead of providing us any code, it is simply firstly identified the first 40 prime numbers, calculated the sum, and then in order to identify the last 4 sum, it says let's simply look at the last 4 digits of the result. And I was not expecting this response. I was expecting it to provide me some code which will bring us to the answer. So I'm not really happy with the response. Next, I'm gonna provide it an equation and let's see its response. Okay, so it says here's how to solve the equation using the order of operations. Firstly, it is solving the brackets, then multiplication and division from left to right, addition, subtraction from left to right, which brings us to the answer equal to 2, and it is correct. Next, I'm gonna ask it that a bat and a ball together cost $1.20. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much is the ball? It is provided us all the steps to reach to the answer, and it says that ball costs $0.10, which is correct. And then finally, I'm gonna ask it that how many keystrokes are needed to type the numbers from 1 to 500, and the answer choices are these 4 values. Let's see if it is able to answer this complex question or not. Alright, so it says that for the numbers 1 to 9, there are 9 keystrokes. For the numbers 10 to 99, there are 90 numbers. and 2 keystrokes each because they are 2-digit number, which brings us to 180 keystrokes. Then from 100 to 500, there are 401 numbers. And since the numbers are 3 digits, so they are going to multiply by 3 for 3 keystrokes each, which brings us to 1203 keystrokes, and then they add the 3 values, which brings us to 1392 keystrokes, and it is absolutely correct. And it is quite impressive that it was able to answer this complex chain of thought questions on its own. Next, I'm gonna test out its coding capabilities. So I'm gonna start with a very basic program. I'm gonna ask it to write a Python program to find the factors of a number. Okay, so in 14.5 seconds, it has provided me the complete response. But firstly, it has provided me the function that find the factors of a number. It is creating a list containing all the factors of the number. And then it is using a for loop that starts from the 1 up till the provided number plus 1. And then it will see if the number modulus I is exactly equal to 0. Then it is going to add that number in the factors list, and then it is simply returning that list. So the code seems fine, and you can see that it has also provided us an explanation for the code. So if you are new to the Python programming, then this code and its explanation will be very useful for you. Next, I'm gonna ask them to write a code in Python to swap 2 numbers without using a temporary variable. Alright, so here's the response. So it has successfully swapped both of these numbers using arithmetic operators and without using a third temporary variable, and it has also provided an explanation of what is actually happening in the code. So this response is absolutely correct. Next, I'm gonna ask it to create an entire application. For that, I will ask it to write the Python code for the tic-tac-toe game. Alright, so the response is generated, and here is the entire code for the tic-tac-toe game, and apparently it looks fine. So I've copied this code and pasted it inside my VS Code. And now I'm gonna run it to see if it runs error-free or not. Alright, so you can see that the code ran without any errors. So firstly, it is asking the player X to enter your move by providing the row and column separated by comma. So let's do that. I'm gonna place my mark on 0, 0. Then for the player Y, I'm gonna place the 0, 1. So by providing the appropriate places for the rows and columns, I was able to make this pattern, and it says that player X wins. This means that the code runs absolutely fine. Next, I'm gonna ask it that in cricket, an over consists of 6 deliveries. A bowler bowls from one end. Create a function that takes a number of balls bowled by the bowler and calculates the number of overs and the balls bowled by him or her. Then return the value as a float in the format overs.balls. So let's see if it can generate this function or not. Alright, the response is generated, and you can see that it is provided via function that says calculate overs, and it actually takes as input the number of balls that are bowled. And then it is using this logic to calculate the number of overs and the balls, and then it is returning the response as a float but using this format. And now I'm gonna copy this code from right here, and I'm gonna run it in my VS Code. Alright, so here is the code. Let's go ahead and run it. And here you can see that we provided it the number of balls to be 17, and then the basis of it, it has provided us the number of overs bowled to be 2.5, and which is absolutely correct. So this means that Gemma 2's coding capabilities are actually really up to the mark as was claimed by Google. Now I'm gonna ask it certain logical reasoning and common sense questions. So firstly, I'm gonna ask it that would a pear sink in the water? Alright, so here is the response, and it says that yes, a pear would likely sink in the water, and it has provided us a logical explanation for the answer as well. This is because the pears are denser than water, and density is a measure of how much mass is packed. So since pears are more compact than water, so they'll sink. And the answer is absolutely correct. Next, I'm gonna ask it that a classroom has 2 blue chairs for every 3 red chairs. If there are a total of 30 chairs in the classroom, how many blue chairs are there, and describe your reasoning step by step. This is actually a question for the chain of thought category. Alright, so here it says that firstly, understand the ratio. So the ratio of blue chairs to red chair is 2:3. Then we have to find the ratio unit. So add the 2 parts of the ratio, which is 2 plus 3, which equals 5. This means that each unit of the ratio represents 5 chairs. Then calculate the actual number of units, which can be done by dividing the total number of chairs by the units. So 30 divided by 5 is 6 units. And then determine the number of blue chairs, which can be done by multiplying the number of units by the blue chair ratio. So the blue chair ratio was 2. So we're actually going to multiply 6 into 2, which is 12. And it is absolutely correct answer. And then I'm gonna provide it the most trickiest question of them all, which only one model managed to answer, which is that a room contains only three people. The first person is reading a book and the second person is playing chess. Based on this, what is the most likely activity then the third person is engaging? So based on this question, the answer should be that the third person should also be playing chess, because chess is a two-person game and the second person might not be playing it on its own. So this is the most logical answer to this. Let's see how it responds to this question. Alright, so here is the response. It says that the most likely activity for the third person is playing chess with the second person. It is a classic two-player game. I was trying to overthink this before. So ladies and gentlemen, we have a new winner now, because no other LLM except for SingleOne was able to answer this question correctly. They used to give lame answers, imagining what the third person might be doing. But here the Gemma 2 model provided us a concise and to-the-point answer, which is absolutely correct. So this means that all the claims that were made by the Google about the Gemma 2's capabilities are absolutely correct. So I highly encourage all of you to try it out for yourself and let me know in the comments what you think about it. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.